The Egyptian journalist and Arab affairs analyst Mona Eltahawy joining us now once again live from New York. Thanks so much for being with us once again. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think it's very important to make clear that the reason Hosni Mubarak was put on trial in the first place and the reason Hosni Mubarak is no longer the president of Egypt is because of the people, because of the January 25th revolution. This is a really important step in the right direction that we must remember. But despite the fact that people pressure and street pressure put Mubarak on trial, what the verdicts today made very clear is that the regime remains very much in place. And one of the major goals of the January 25th revolution was to remove that regime. So the reason you see so many people in the streets of Egypt today is because they understand very well, the people are not stupid, they understand very well this was a case of the regime trying the regime, throwing the people a bone, and that is Mubarak's life sentence and his former interior ministry, but sparing the sons, the much despised sons, and the much despised senior officials of the interior ministry. And this is a long string of acquittals of people who are directly responsible for the deaths of martyrs of the revolution. This is why people are angry.
And they are angry. We're looking at live pictures while you're talking from Tahrir Square. The Muslim Brotherhood has called for mass protests to protest against the verdicts. The presidential candidate of the Muslim Brotherhood, Mohammed Morsi, has said, in fact, he'd like another trial, a new trial, while Ahmed Shafiq, the candidate who will be running against him in the runoff 2 weeks from now, says that the trial verdict should stand. What do you think?
Well, the elections themselves are another source of deep polarization for Egypt. I just returned from Cairo a few days ago after the first round of the elections, and the second round is on June 16th and 17th. And the two remaining candidates basically represent the old regime, Ahmed Shafiq, and the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the way that Mubarak always presented Egypt. Despite the fact that you see so many political forces on the streets, it's not just Mohammed Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood who's expressed dissatisfaction with the verdict. It's also other presidential candidates who lost, other political forces on the ground, the ultras, these amazing football or soccer fans who have supported the revolution and defended the revolution from the beginning, the April 6th youth movement. What you're seeing on the streets in Egypt today is the coming together of so many different political forces that together, when they began the revolution on January the 25th, pushed out Hosni Mubarak. And it's very important to remember those forces because Ahmed Shafiq is seen very much as representing the old regime. And he made a statement today which was considered ridiculous when he said that no one is above the law, and what happened to Mubarak is proof of that. Many people are worried that the military junta that rules Egypt wants him to be president, and that when he becomes president, he will acquit Mubarak and his former interior ministry. So as I said, people feel that this was a big farce orchestrated by the military junta, who are, after all, generals who are friends of Mubarak. The people want the regime to be removed.
Let me just jump in on that thought, because you could regard it as a farce, or you could regard it as the judge's effort, for whatever reason, to compromise between knowing that the regime, the military, the people still in control, are not going to let all of their comrades go down, and knowing that the people are demanding justice. I mean, could you look at this as a half-empty, half-full kind of compromise between the demands of the people and what the military would countenance?
Well, this is why I began my comments to you by saying that we must remember how much progress the Egyptian revolution has achieved already by the fact that Mubarak is going to wear that prison uniform. But it's just as important to remember, Jonathan, that that judge and most of the judges that represent the judiciary in Egypt today, unfortunately, are incredibly corrupt because they're all Mubarak's judges. What kind of justice can the revolution have when the regime's judges are the ones that try the regime or are the ones that pronounce the sentence on the regime? What we need in Egypt are revolutionary courts that can give the people some kind of justice. Not a single police officer has been convicted of the deaths of almost 1,000 people in Egypt. 12,000 people, civilians, have been tried by military tribunals, yet Mubarak and his cohorts were tried by a civilian court. And today, prominent activists Mona Saif and Ala Abdel Fattah were before the Prosecutor General answering trumped-up charges that they burnt down Ahmed Shafiq's headquarters. This is a judicial and legal farce on every level of your imagination, which again is why the Egyptian people are out on the street, because they feel that this is a chance to revive the revolution and to remind the regime that that chant from last year, "Ash-Sha'b yurid isqat al-Nizam," the people demand the fall of the regime, is still very much alive in Egypt.
Mona Eltahawy speaking to us, and while she talks proof of what she's saying, in fact, the thousands of people who are in the streets protesting just hours after a judge pronounced his verdict and his sentence. Hosni Mubarak will face life behind bars for his involvement in the killing of protesters who rose up against his regime in Tahrir Square, among other places, but the other defendants were acquitted.